Welcome back to another Bring the Juice Colts podcast live stream. An interesting start to one, as a matter of fact. But anyway, thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in today. Greatly appreciated. We do have a Colts game to discuss, Cody, which is pretty awesome. We finally have it around. Greatly appreciate everybody being here. Make sure you guys like the stream. Helps it get out to more and more people. We want to talk about it. Be sure to comment. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Eric, what's up, dude? I saw you comment on that earlier. Thanks, dude. Anyway, Cody, I mean, let's talk about this game, man. And let's talk about the biggest thing that everyone wants to talk about, and that's Anthony Richardson. At the end of the day, I think I can pull up his stats here. I think it ended up being 7 of 12 for, I believe, 62 yards and 1 interception. So basically, that's basically it for Richardson. 67 yards. I'll get that right. What did you make of Anthony Richardson's debut?
I felt like it was pretty solid. I mean, the interception, obviously, you look at that and you say, wow, that sucks. But like, it definitely seemed like it was not, from what all indications, from what Isaiah McKenzie said, from, what Shane Steichen said, it was not Richardson's fault. McKenzie took the blame. Steichen took the blame. So, without that, I mean, I think Richardson probably has one of the better debuts from all the rookie quarterbacks that you see in the preseason, week one. So, he had a beautiful touch. He had just a couple obstacles that happened, like the missed field goal. He had Alec Pierce drop a sure touchdown that he put right into the bucket, like things like that. He just messed it up. So, so overall, I thought for Richardson, it was a pretty solid debut altogether.
I mentioned this. I said this on Twitter just a few minutes ago that Anthony Richardson, because we've seen all the different quarterbacks play now, Cody. Every single one of the rookie quarterbacks, the big four that everyone was discussing, had their games either this weekend. He said he is one AP dropped pass away from having the best stat line of any of the rookie quarterbacks and looking for sure by far the best rookie quarterback of the entire draft class this week in week one. One pass away. If Alec doesn't drop that, that's a touchdown. That's another 40 yards added to that total. And he's completes 65% of his passes for over 100 yards and a touchdown and an interception. So, again, it goes to show you, I mean, how much context matters in this. The stat line, like you said, the stats don't really indicate just how good Anthony Richardson actually was. Again, he had 2 passes dropped by Alec Pierce today. Not just one, he had 2. There was another one on the sideline that could have been caught by Alec, but he dropped it as well. So there's a couple – AP didn't do him any favors. And then, of course, like you said, when it comes to the rest of it, I watched every throw. Landon Oliver, shout out to you, put all the throws on Twitter for anyone to watch, all 12 throws that he had. And I will admit, a couple of throws. He had one that was really bad to Pittman, another one that was behind Granson, and another one I can't remember what exactly it was, but there were a couple throws that, definitely he could have seen him, do a lot better with. But all in all, man, I really thought that in generality, he actually performed pretty well given the circumstances and everything that was happening so far. Let's talk about that interception real quick, because that was the big one. Everyone wanted to know about that interception, and Isaiah McKenzie actually talked with Lara Overton afterwards and stated that was completely on him and not on Richardson, because he said he ran the route wrong, and that resulted in Richardson trying to make a throw that he shouldn't have had to. And Reggie was apparently was very angry with Isaiah McKenzie and what was happening there. So I give applause to Isaiah McKenzie for actually stepping up and taking ownership of that.
Yep, for sure. Yep, and I feel like multiple people have said that was not Richardson's fault, which I think is good. But yeah, I wanted to kind of share that drop pass by Alec Pierce because I think Anthony Richardson just put it in the breadbasket, man.
I mean, this is the best throw of any rookie, like of the entire weekend, bro. Like this thing is put bam, just right there. I mean, you can't get any better than that. It's literally in the hip pocket. I mean, it's only where AP could get it. I mean, the corner does an amazing job of getting his hand in there to knock it free, but man, you got to catch that, man.
Yeah. 100%. So, yeah, I mean, I thought, he had a few, like you mentioned, a few passes that, a few miscommunications and stuff, but hey, you know what? That's to be expected. I mean, this dude literally, this is week 1 of the preseason in your rookie season. So, give some grace. I think all things considered, I thought he did probably some of the best he could have done given the circumstances. So, yeah, I felt like Richardson, put his players in position to do well, right? And so that's exactly what you want in a rookie quarterback. And, it's been so long, just watching some of his passing attempts. Like, it's been so long since you've seen a quarterback that can actually make plays outside of the pocket. He in one place in particular I was looking at, he was, a defender had him dead to rights and he just couldn't bring him down. And that's just the athleticism on display there from number 5. So, yeah, I think he was he definitely showed some good signs, some positive signs. I think he's definitely ahead of maybe where we thought. And I thought really after the interception, I felt like he settled in really well. And he, did really good and, kind of led his team on a couple drives. So all things considered, I thought Richardson looked good. I really did.
I think the one thing that impressed me the most about Richardson is after that interception is very quick. It'd be for a lot of guys, it's quick to fall apart in that circumstance, especially for a guy like Richardson who doesn't have a lot of experience and doesn't know the situation very well. To throw an interception on what was, I think, your 3rd pass of your entire NFL career, and then throw that interception, and most guys would have trembled there. But I think what shows that Richardson has a great head on his shoulders is that from that point forward, he got a whole heck of a lot better. He made almost every throw at that point. And he really, again, if it wasn't for his receivers dropping a few passes, would have had a touchdown in the next couple series, would have had a couple other things go his way. The narrative would be changing. And like you said, if like I said before, McKenzie doesn't run the wrong route and a couple other things, that would have maybe changed the alteration of it. And even Chuck Pagano said in response to Stephen Holder said that, it was just it was a miscommunication. It was a bad blow up of proportions. Richardson's going to learn from it, and he's going to learn that in that situation to just not make that throw. Just no reason to make that throw in that circumstance. So I think that it shows a lot to Richardson to, in the moment that a lot of dudes would crumble, to come back stronger after that moment. It just goes to show you the kind of player that Anthony Richardson is. He doesn't get down. He doesn't get down in the biggest of moments. He actually gets better as the time goes along, it seems like.
That was one of kind of his biggest strengths. And, one of the biggest things the Colts loved about him was, the from some of the stuff in his past, it kind of gave him that ability to be able to move past and respond well to hard circumstances. And so I think this is just one display of that. And, a big reason why the Colts were so in love with him and really had decided, a month and a half in advance that he was their guy. So, yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head when it comes to Richardson and just his ability to bounce back. And because, it's very easy to get into your own head, especially after a play like that. And to Richardson's credit, he didn't. He bounced back nicely. And, yeah, I mean, if the receivers make a couple more plays and help him out a little bit more, we're talking about a lot different stat sheet. It doesn't look on the surface like a great game from Richardson, but overall, you take a couple of those miscommunications, a couple of those wrong things the receivers did, and if those go a different way, then we're talking about a whole different ball game.
Shout out to the almost 100 of you in here right now. Be sure to like, guys. Be sure to comment. Be sure to subscribe. Also, if anyone's wondering why my voice maybe sounds weird, so my dog chewed my cable to my soundboard, and unfortunately, that means that my microphone won't be used because it only will be used if it's connected to a soundboard. So if my soundboard's not working, then my microphone isn't working. So I ordered a new cable. I hope that it will work for my soundboard, and I hope it gets here within a few days. That's the plan. Hopefully by this time next week, I'll be able to have a new mic set up and be able to do the live stream then. But this comment's very interesting because it's another thing about Richardson that I wanted to talk about, Cody. The Cam Newton fears, just too much arm to control. Derek's dog sabotaging the stream. For real, bro. That was the funny part, Cody, is I would look at those passes that he had, and my brother said the same thing. He said, this dude literally needs to learn how to put some touch on his throws rather than throwing it hard every time. It is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I'd rather have a dude that throws hard every pass than one that doesn't throw the ball hard at all, because I saw a couple of those throws. You're like, if he just puts a little touch on it, then these guys might be able to catch it and corral it in versus having to, extend really quickly and lose body control. At the same time, I'm saying to myself, I look at some of those throws and I say, if he doesn't throw the ball that hard and at that moment, that ball gets picked or it gets tipped in the middle of the field. That one throw to Granson in the middle of the field where he had a 20-yard run, that linebacker in the middle of the field had his arm going up, trying to block it. But that ball was delivered so quick and to that spot that he wasn't able to time it right. So, I mean, it's just one of those situations where it's like one of his biggest weaknesses that he still needs to work on is actually one of his greatest strengths, at the same time being able to throw the football as hard as he does.
Yeah. And that'll come with time, that'll just come with time, experience, continuing to refine himself. So I'm not too concerned about it. But yeah, I mean, I think he performed probably better than we expected from a player who's played in 13 total games in college. So yeah, I mean, I think he's probably ahead of schedule where a lot of people think he maybe what was going to be. And so that's definitely encouraging for sure.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, I mean, we can talk more about Richardson as we go along, but I think it's funny because Gardner Minshew and Sam Ehlinger, after Anthony Richardson was over in that second half, they combined for 14 of 15, Cody. So they were 14 of 15 for 144 yards, but it didn't translate to anything though. It didn't translate to anything. I don't know if it was because the offensive line just wasn't as good afterwards, so they weren't able to continue the drives as well. So it is what it is. I think that it's funny because Richardson didn't get sacked once. Richardson didn't get sacked once with the number ones, but then when the number twos came in, 3 sacks. So goes to show you, dude. I mean, that first O-line is pretty dang good. It did pretty well for Anthony Richardson today. But that back end, though, any of those guys get injured, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, out of curiosity, because I wasn't able to watch the game, who was the starting offensive line today?
I think the only person that didn't get to start was I think it was Smith because he was still dealing with the injury.
Yeah.
But
okay, I just
all of the guys on the starting O-line started at least the first couple series. I'm not 100% sure on everybody on how long they stayed. Maybe somebody in the chat can tell me because everyone except for Freeland. Okay, so yeah, basically Freeland played, I'm assuming, right tackle for the start, but outside of that,
I take it he looked pretty solid. He looked pretty solid as the right tackle then, if no sacks were allowed and all that. So that's good. That's positive news.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it's good. It's good, and it's awesome that the O-line, the first O-line, was having a chance to move some guys and were able to, create a semi-decent pocket for Anthony Richardson today. So I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Downs needs to play that slot position immediately. Yeah, I think Cody, I know Josh Downs didn't have a ton of big plays today, but you can't tell me that after what we saw in training camp through the first 2 weeks, and then after what we saw today with Josh Downs and Isaiah McKenzie, you can't tell me that Josh Downs is not the starter at the slot receiver position come week 1.
He better be at this point. If McKenzie's going to run wrong routes, he's got to be. And he's a guy that just makes plays, when he gets the ball in his hand. So absolutely. I'd be all down for that. Mike Strawn had a nice catch today. That was cool.
Yeah, that was one. That was one I was going. I wish he would do that in the regular season, bro. Like, he does that in August all the time. He'll go against the seconds and dominate these guys, but he just never does it against the number ones. I just don't know why he can't. He dominates the lower part of the competition, but when it comes to the ones, he just doesn't do the same.
Yep, he's gotta do more. He's gotta, when he gets opportunities against the ones, right? He's got to prove that he belongs in this league because I did the video kind of talking about some players that I am they're kind of on the roster bubble, that I'm watching, and Mike Strawn was one of those names because you look at it, you have 5 receivers who you definitely pencil ahead of him right now. And so, there's one position battle for like 3 or 4 guys, potentially even more. They're competing for one spot essentially. So Mike Strawn's got to prove he's well deserving of that spot. And also, Derek, like guys like Amari Rodgers, he helps you out in special teams, and Mike Strawn doesn't do that. So he's just got to have to prove a lot, make a case for himself.
Yeah. And Amari had 2 catches today for 17 yards. So he was the 7th leading receiver today. I mean, he had the same number of catches as Strawn, or one more catch than Strawn, but pretty much the same yardage. So, I mean, Amari gets these. Amari is still getting these targets, and it'll be very interesting to see what they do. But, yeah, it'll be interesting. Boris, do we still have like 12 tight ends? Yeah, until some of them get healthier. Healthier. Woods is hurt. Mallory is still hurt. Molly Cox is still hurt. I mean, the only legit guy you have is Kylan Granson. That's the only guy on the starting rotation that's actually healthy out there.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's just absolutely wild.
Oh, what was I missing? I think there was something that I was trying to. Yeah, everybody's talking about Alec Pierce still. Yeah, it is what it is, y'all. I mean, it's weird because in training camp, we've seen him make a ton of great catches, even some that were slightly contested. But for some reason, he just dropped this one, and it just sucks. Because, again, AP makes that catch, the whole narrative changes about Anthony Richardson, and it sucks. So, hey, make sure you all like the stream, guys. We're only at 43 likes, and we got 120 of you in here. But let's talk about the running backs here for a second, Cody. Deion Jackson leads the way, 6 carries for 35 yards, so 6 yards a carry. Evan Hall had 7 carries for 15 yards, so he didn't get anything going on the run game. He did have 2 catches today for 18 yards. That's where we feel he's going to be the most effective, is in that category. And then, outside of that, there's really not a whole lot more. Jake Funk with a 2-yard per average thing had a touchdown. Jason Huntley had 1 touchdown today on 2 carries for 6 yards. I mean, outside of Deion Jackson, nobody was really running the football with any kind of efficiency.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, really not a whole lot to talk about, but I think Deion Jackson's stock is certainly up. I didn't know if he was going to play today, but
yeah, I didn't think he was going to play today at all.
Yep. So,
best wide receiver, Malik Turner, 4 catches for 48 yards. Josh Downs, 2 catches for 30 yards. Kylan Granson had 1 for 20 yards. Mike Strawn had 1 for 18. Isaiah McKenzie, 3 for 20. Amari Rogers, 2 for 17. Evan Hall, 2 for 18. So, just all over the place. There really wasn't a ton of, there wasn't a ton of big plays to happen. I mean, Brashad Perryman had 1 catch for 5 yards. Seriously, like if Alec Pierce makes that 1 catch, that 1 dime from Anthony Richardson, he's the 2nd leading receiver on our team, just that 1 catch. And he would have been the 2nd leading receiver on our team with the touchdown too. The only reception touchdown that we would have had all game. So again, just goes to show you the thing. So it is what it is.
Yep.
I don't know. I didn't get to see much from the defensive side of things. Obviously, we saw Darius Rush had the pick 6, which gave the Colts the lead at the time. Pretty awesome for that because, we hadn't seen a ton of Darius Rush in training camp. It's been more Darrell Baker and Tony Brown versus anything else, and talking about Juju Brents as well. But Darius Rush getting his first career interception and that being a pick 6 at that must have been a pretty cool moment.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Talk about making an impression, Darius Rush. Make an impression on this cornerback room, on the defensive coordinator, on all your coaches, really. I mean, this is a dude that just started practicing like a week ago, Derek, and so to see him out there making plays, I mean, we all said it, like Darius Rush has the look of potentially a steal. So, talk about a guy, if you're like in this fierce competition of the cornerback room, that's how you make a statement right there, Darius Rush. So I loved it. Love to see that. Dio Dangbo had a sack, which was cool. Definitely like to see that. But
yeah, I did see that. Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, that was awesome. Albeit against the second string, offense, but still, like Hurricane Dio still
past them though,
Yeah.
Khalid Kareem had a sack today. Al-Quadin Muhammad had 1. Shout out to Al-Quadin coming back and dropping 1 for the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just at the end of the day, we talk about this team and, at least the good thing is, of course, it's a preseason game. So, of course, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. But I think
this is the Super Bowl. This is the Super Bowl, Derek.
Never have fun. Never have fun. It's only negatives. It's just not
either Richardson.
It's a tragedy.
Either Richardson is the greatest thing ever, or he's a big bust already. I thought it was crazy, Derek, a couple of days ago when C.J. Stroud didn't have a great game, and people were literally like, "Dude's a bust, blah 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 blah." And then freaking Kay Adams,
a rookie, and
Kay Adams comes out and says,
"Ever struggled? Who would have freaking thought?"
Yeah, Kay Adams comes out and says, "Hey, idiots!"
And bro, did you see Bryce Young's stats today?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I missed that.
He went 4 of 6 for 21 yards. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. 4 of 6, 21 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't do anything. I mean, he didn't do nothing. I mean, I'm telling you, Will Levis is the only one that had better stats than Anthony Richardson did, and yet just barely. So,
but he was the backup too. Like
but he was the backup. Yeah, he wasn't even running with the starters. So, I mean,
right.
Take that with it as you wish. So,
yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, it's just about looking at the team and trying to get a gauge on where this team's at. And it's at the end of the day, I'm not too worried about much. Obviously you have to worry about, let's talk about the things that worry us the most. I think a couple of them, I think the biggest one that everyone talked about was the backup offensive line depth. Yeah, clearly still an issue. They don't have any guys on the interior that can block. Danny Pinter can be a solid backup center. I get that one. But at guard, you have no one on the backup guards that can block anyone. And with Jake Witt being out, you don't really have a lot of guys that can protect outside of Blake Freeland. Blake Freeland can play pretty well. And that's because he's had more experience. He's been there in that position for a little while longer. He's bigger, so it helps him. But outside of that, there's nobody else on the backup offensive line that's helping you right now. And remember, you and I talked with Ballard the other day, and he said it's going to be better this year. You better hope that we don't have any major injuries on that offensive line. Because if we do, this team is not going to have a good season with the offensive line that they have going out there.
I mean, what better way to kill your quarterback if you don't protect him? It's just crazy to even say that because Ballard is typically, except for last year, of course, and starting this year, I feel like he's been pretty solid about addressing depth on the offensive line. So it's just very odd that he continues to choose these ingrown guys that clearly can't play ball. And he just almost puts his head in the sand and says, we're fine. And it's like, well, do you watch the games? What's the deal here, man? And so, yeah, you got to do something. I think hopefully they will, you can't just ignore what you saw out there, So I would think they'd be monitoring, the guard, the interior offensive line market. And if they get, I think they need to add multiple players in there, just add some more competition, right? If you preach competition but don't do anything about it, then you're completely going against your entire philosophy. So, what are you doing here, So that's really the biggest thing is just get some quality backup offensive linemen. If you can do that, I think you'll be fine. When Braden Smith comes back, I think that offensive line will be in good shape if all 5 starters play. But again, if a guy goes out for whatever reason, it might be in some trouble. So, especially on the interior. So, yeah, definitely think you need to address that. There's no question about that.
Yep. We've been talking about Risner the whole freaking offseason, dude. It's not too late still.
He's still available somehow.
Yeah, he's still available somehow. So I have no idea how that made it. But anyways, another one. I'd say Isaiah McKenzie definitely didn't do himself any favors today. Again, kudos to him for taking responsibility a little bit for the interception earlier today. But it kind of goes to show you, if you're messing up Anthony Richardson's flow, all that does is make Josh Downs' job much easier. So, that's another thing. What was others? Oh, yeah. Our boy Matt Gay missed a 28-yard field goal today. Ballard did not just pay a guy that's getting paid $5.5 million a year to go and miss a 28-yard field goal attempt. Please tell me that's not going to be a regular thing.
Yeah. Freaking kickers. I hate kickers, man. I'm starting to get to that point where I'm like, I freaking hate
starting
kickers.
To become the next Zach Hicks.
Yeah.
Kickers kicking. I hate this place.
Yeah. This is dumb.
I
Yep,
still
gotta be
don't know.
better.
I still don't know where Zach gets his hate of kickers from. I'm not 100% certain on where it comes from.
I understand, because what do? They freaking sit on the sideline for the whole game, and the whole game comes down to them. And if they just suck, like hot rod, and they lose you the game, even though you're in position to win, right? Like that, I get that. I understand that.
Yeah, it's. I hope that's not. I hope that's not going to be a regular thing.
Get all the bad ones out now. Get them out now. Not happening in the regular season. We're going to have a problem.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, Derek, when it comes to this. Anthony Richardson, I thought, looked solid in his debut. Could have looked better on the stat sheet if he would have had some help from his receivers. But, hey, you know what? He's still got a long way to go. We know this. There wasn't any question. Like, we knew even if he had a bad game, like, that's just a part of the process. So we're not going to overreact and say, oh, my gosh, this guy's going to be – we don't know. He's still really early. It's certainly exciting and a positive step that he had some nice timing and, had a couple nice drives and stuff like that. It probably should have had a touchdown. But, again, like, it's preseason game number 1. We're not going to overreact to it. Still a long way to go before the regular season and a lot more to clean up. And so, yeah, that's kind of what my overall thought is. Like, it's encouraging, but it's not the end-all, be-all.
Yep, absolutely. I guess just the ultimate thing we can take from it, man, is, Anthony Richardson had some good moments. And I honestly thought, I'll be completely honest here, Cody, I was nervous after I got off work. I was nervous. I was going to see, like 5 of like 13 for like 40 yards and like 2 interceptions and all of this stuff. Like, that's what I would expect from someone that wasn't ready to go. But 7 of 12, 67 yards, had the interception. It was a miscommunication between him and the receiver. But at the end of the day, he came back stronger, did make some great throws that will hopefully be caught when the season comes around and there's better chemistry and guys are more in form. And then, hopefully we have a couple more guys step up in that meantime. And at the end of the day, that's what the most important thing is. Trevor, exactly. With the 4-month membership, thank you, my dude. I think Shane just wanted to give Anthony a live look at playing and knows what to install and practice leading up to next preseason game. Yeah, absolutely true. You got to remember it's preseason. They're not gonna divert into the entire playbook. They're definitely not going to do that. No coach does that in the first couple of weeks of the preseason. So what we're seeing right now is just baseline Anthony Richardson. But I'd say for this man, I'd say he at least passed the test. I think he handled it really well.
Yep, did it without obviously Taylor, his starting running back. Hopefully, did without him. Did it without his starting tight end. Really 2 potentially starting tight ends. So I thought he did well considering he didn't have a good number of players, and he put his players in position to win, like I said earlier.
Absolutely. Stop blaming Pierce. He had to adjust to a pass on the wrong side. What do you mean on the wrong side? Are you serious? That's a troll. Of course it is. Anyway. Other than that, is that everything, brother? I don't know if there's anything else.
That's all I got.
Yeah, yep. I think that's it. Again, if you guys wanted my initial reactions, go ahead and watch that video. But yeah, all things considered, I think it's pretty cool. I hope that next time around I'll have a soundboard that I can plug my mic into, and then also be able to stream the game next week. Because I had to work today, so that is what it is. But it is what it is. So I'd say probably the one other guy from a defensive perspective today, Cody, that did do really well, that we didn't give love to yet, and it's the last thing I'll talk about. It was Grant Stewart that had 12 total tackles today. So that is very impressive.
More of a special teams guy, but yeah, especially with Alubi, I believe, got a concussion today. So, I mean, opportunity for Grant Stewart and made the most of it. I mean, he's a guy that plays special teams primarily, but good to see him step up when called upon.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much again for tuning into this. We really appreciate it. Thanks for all the support. We greatly appreciate that as well. Be sure to keep on the lookout for more videos. We'll have that coming out and live streams as well. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always,